Welcome everybody to this masterclass on Purpose Launchpad. The recording is working, and in case you do not want to be recorded, you would need to switch off your video camera. So my name is Morbach. I'm part of Xponential Ecosystem, which is a network globally of professionals, consultants, innovators, and investors trying to make a positive impact by boosting innovation for triple sustainability, which is profit, people, and planet. Today, I'm going to talk to you about Purpose Launchpad, which is, I'm going to just share my screen. Can you confirm you can see my screen?
The screen works, eh? So
you can see the start screen saying masterclass, discover how to make a massive positive impact. Can you give me thumbs up?
yeah, we can all see it. It all works.
All right, very fine, good. So Purpose Launchpad was developed by Francisco Palau. He's also the founder of Purpose Alliance, and I will talk a bit about, of course, Purpose Alliance, but Purpose Launchpad is the agile framework we're going to talk about today. Myself, I'm a Purpose Launchpad Master Mentor, and I'm glad to have you here today in the masterclass, and we'll talk about. So we are human species, one of the few species who can look at the sky and look at the stars and dream up things that we want to happen in the future. But we're not only just dreamers, we're also doers. So we can use technologies, we can use methodologies, whatever. So we are doers to make dreams come true and happen. So not only doers, but we're also doers with purpose. And that means you've read this across the different magazines, that purpose is one of the things that is mostly followed by many organizations. The power of purpose, however, you can see if you look, for example, at SpaceX. Elon Musk for SpaceX has a purpose of making humans a multiplanetary species. And that contributes to the fact that SpaceX has been starting to building reusable rockets. They have launched a couple of experiments. They failed a couple of times, but in the end, they have brought down cost of space exploration and also payloads massively. And they're better off with their payload cost than NASA has been during their whole history. But not only big shots are working in that space, but also kids like Jose Quisocala in Arequipa, Peru. They can use technology driven by their purpose, and they can start a bank. His original idea was to provide his friends and fellow students in school with an opportunity to collect garbage and recycle garbage, which in the terms they got some benefits from, some commissions that would be able to put this money in the bank. So we're living in one of the most extraordinary times in human history, because the technologies we have at hand, which are called exponential technologies, lead to a democratization of many things that we see out there. From internet, 3D printing, drones, energy, artificial intelligence, blockchains, robotics, and biotechnology. All these technologies combined are mutually reinforcing and really do a great contribution to democratizing things that businesses and organizations can do, and they should be doing it for positive impact. The implications for business are fourfold, and I will go through the different implications that we can see. The first of all, we're not looking at scarcity of resources or of information or of other things anymore. We're looking at an abundance of information out there and of things that we can use. Abundance, you may know the book by Peter Diamandis and Stephen Kotler. Abundance we can see in art, we can see in energy. When the sun is providing, then any one of us could use actually in a day. Healthcare, we see abundance coming up with telemedicine and digitalization of treatments, and also resources that we see. But also this means that scarcity-based business models like Kodak had in the past, they vanish. And while Kodak went bankrupt, Instagram were bought with a 1 billion acquisition with 13 employees at the same time. So the business model of Kodak was based on these little film rolls with like 24 to 36 imprints, and you would really take care about being conscious, taking the right photographs, and it would cost about, in the meantime, €1 to develop one single photo. With the new digital photography, this whole thing has shifted, and also the problem space has shifted, because now we have an abundance of photos, but it's difficult to find the nice ones that you really would like to look at again. Again, scarcity shifts to abundance, and this changes the business model profoundly. The other part is an exponential development. So what we've seen, the foundation was led by Xponential organizations, by Salim Ismail, the research on different companies that have come into existence starting 2000 plus. Google, Airbnb, Evolve, Netflix, Uber, Waze, GitHub, they all are accessing and managing abundance in a way that they can scale nearly at zero marginal cost. That created a lot of unicorns, means companies that are valued in a very short time frame, more than 1 billion euros in the stock market. But one of the key drivers, and that is setting the context for why Purpose Launchpad came into existence, is the purpose that these companies follow. Like with Google, it's organizing the world's information. I'm not saying that they are all doing that by themselves, but they provide the means for everybody out there in the world to organize the world's information, to organize their own information, but also help organizing information across the whole globe. Tesla, the purpose of Tesla is accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy, which makes Tesla not only a car building company, but a company that is providing energy supplies, but also solar power plants. And when talking about purpose, we're talking, of course, of profit, because sustainability and viability in terms of economics is the recipe for survival of any business. But we talk not about unicorns that try to maximize profit only. We talk about zebras, and zebras are the kind of animals that are making profit, but at the same time follow their purpose to make positive impact. So if you compare the unicorns to the zebras, the why, the how, the who, and the what, you can see a brief overview. In terms of the zebra, we're looking for sustainable prosperity, profitable, sustainable endgames, and plurality, versus the monopoly and the exit that's mostly connected to unicorns. On the how, we look at win-win situations, cooperation, shared resources, participatory style, and looking to see that there is enough shared by everybody, and we're improving the purpose and the impact that we see. On the who, it's mostly on the zebra side, public and communities. It's community managers, customer success, and engineers, which compose the team. And the user pays for value, which is transparent. And the what is about regenerative growth. It's about quality, user success, and process adoption. So instead of looking at creating one unicorn after the other, Purpose Launchpad is mainly directed at creating a magnitude of zebras. Of course, some of them could become really unicorns, but with positive impact. So the fourth pillar of the context that I want to set for Purpose Launchpad is the ecosystem approach. And you can see Tesla is, as I said, not a car-making company or car-making brand only, and its value can be explained by Tesla's approach of building an ecosystem to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. And that's why Tesla is not only building cars, it's also providing wall boxes, it's providing solar power plants and different services around the sustainable energy market. Same applies to Apple. You may remember that when Steve Jobs first introduced the iPhone in 2006, he said, we don't call ourselves Apple Computers anymore, because it's more than computers that we do. We call ourselves Apple Incorporated. And they, since then, created an ecosystem not only around hardware. The iPhone, of course, very successful. They did the App Store, cloud services, the iTunes Music and media companies, and also Siri in terms of their AI launch. And probably they will have a lot more of these things and services in their background, waiting to disrupt industries that they currently work on. The same applies to Google. I said Google has the overall purpose to organize the world's information. When you see Google with all their search engine, which started the whole business, then with Drive, with the Play Store, with Maps, but also the whole Office suite that Google offers. So how can you make a positive impact? That's now leading towards a Purpose Launchpad approach. There's three components to making a positive impact. First of all is technology. And we've seen technologies that I just mentioned around 3D printing, robotics. Everybody can use this technology, and it's really literally at the fingertips of our hands. The methodologies we use, there is multiple methodologies out there to create startups, to do innovation, but also to develop innovations into impactful businesses. And I will talk about methodologies alongside the Purpose Launchpad methodology in a minute. And then what is most important as well is the mindset. So you can use technology, you can use methodologies, but without the proper mindset, it's difficult to get where you want to be. And the mindset is about what is it that you want to achieve with what you're doing. As I said, on a unicorn side, you could look for even a business that is valued $1 billion, but it's destroying the planet. It's detrimental for society. The mindset that we're talking about is really about making a positive impact. So the basic background to Purpose Alliance, and now I'm talking a bit about Purpose Alliance, which Francisco Palau founded back in 2020, came about with COVID-19 and the pandemic which arose. So in March 2020, the conferences, or all conferences that were planned, were stopped. Nobody could go there anymore. Everything was shifting to online. And you can see up here on the left-hand side, Michael Freeby, who's on the call today as well. Francisco Palau, within a week, called together about 200 people across the world to say, what can we do about this situation? What can we do about COVID-19? How can we help with this pandemic? What is it that can be achieved in a short time frame, which really helps people out there back in their homes, but also across different regions? I think, Michael, one of the ideas was to support Indian medical staff to just get information across this huge country and get their information to the doctors on the countryside. So that was the first challenge that was initiated by Francisco, again, organized within 7 days. And there were a couple of initiatives arising from that one, which were implemented as well. See a couple of people and faces up here. And it really was a global event that took place. And Purpose Alliance itself has the purpose of empowering extraordinary people and organizations to create a better world. There were some other challenges that followed this first and very first challenge. On May 1st, 2020, we saw the challenge of future of work, again linked to the pandemic that happened and that washed away many jobs across the world. Then there was the future of education. So what can be done to prepare our kids better for the challenges of the future that we see? It's not about learning about the past, but it's rather looking at asking the right questions to solve the challenges of the future. Future of the planet, so what can be done to preserve the planet, to preserve the oceans, and all that linked to the sustainable development goals that are pulled together by the United Nations. So there is a 40th Global Purpose Challenge that will come up this March. And I'm happy to announce today that as of tomorrow, it will be advertised and registration will be open for this 40th Global Purpose Challenge organized by Purpose Alliance. So watch out and watch the LinkedIn postings that you will see. We will also, through Xponential Ecosystem, publish the link and the registration possibilities. It will really be a huge event around creating innovative initiatives around the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Summarizing it up, how to make a positive impact takes 3 different ingredients. The technology we talked about, the methodologies, some of them you will see now with Purpose Launchpad, and the mindset that I just talked about that's really intended to make positive impact, not only profit, but also people and planet. So Purpose Launchpad, I want to shift to that one. And before I do that, just a quick stop here and the question to all attendees who are welcome again very much. Any questions so far? That's not the case. Good, then I'm going to continue. So Purpose Launchpad is an agile framework that leverages state-of-the-art innovation methodologies to help people operate with the right mindset to successfully generate new initiatives, startups, but also new products within a corporation, and to evolve existing organizations to make a positive impact. So it's really getting from this sketch that you see on the left-hand side to the rocket that really can go to space on the right-hand side. Okay, Purpose Launchpad evolves or looks at 3 phases of evolving innovation initiatives. It's the exploration stage, the evaluation stage, and the impact stage. And these stages are not a linear sequence, but they can also be iterative. So in the exploration phase, you first explore the problems. You ask yourself, what is the problem? Who has this problem? What are the addressable customers? And what could be potential solutions? So at this stage, it's merely a set of assumptions or hypotheses, as we might call them, to be evaluated to find out whether this idea really is something that is of interest to anybody, whether there is somebody out there who would pay for it, and whether there is something worthwhile to further develop. After the first stage, the evaluation takes the assumptions you formulate initially and tries to evaluate. So is this the right customer segment? Is there a problem solution fit? Is the solution accepted by the customer? It doesn't have to be perfect at this stage. It's more like a prototyping approach where you say you do a little bit of an idea testing with interviews, but you also go to check out whether you find early adopters, not easy adopters. Easy adopters would be nice. Early adopters, in order to find people who would be willing to pay for your solution. And after you have validated your assumptions, your hypotheses, you have validated your revenue streams, you are clear about your cost items that you have to take into consideration for really building a business, then you go to the impact phase. And that also takes you then from the early adopters to scale into the mass market. And that is when you start building and optimizing a viable and scalable organization. So the technologies, internet, we already talked about. That's one piece that anybody can use who's building today a business. And as I said, with the internet and the access to these technologies at the fingertips of everybody who has an idea. The methodology side, and it talked about these 3 different building blocks. Methodology side is you can use a lot of tools on innovation. The MTP canvas, a business model canvas that you know from Osterwalder, community canvases, an Exo canvas, which is familiar to those ones of you who are part of the Open Exo community. It's talking about customer development by Steve Blank. It's Agile frameworks, which you might know from Scrum. It's Lean Startup by Eric Ries, and it's also innovation accounting. Clearly, it's not useful to talk about return on investment in very early stages of ideas. You need to do innovation accounting to find out whether such an idea could be evolved into a sustainable and viable business. Purpose Launchpad itself is symbolized by the logo that you see on this side. It looks at 8 relevant dimensions. It always starts with purpose. The colors that you see in the middle correspond to these phases that I explained: explore, evaluate, and impact. So when you start to develop an initiative, you, well, normally as a human being start with a solution maybe that you have in mind. Well, then you go at least back to the problem, find out the problem, and then abstract from the problem and say, what is the purpose? What do I want to achieve? So you start with a purpose and doing a little bit of development here. And then you move to who is the team working on this innovation initiative, and who could be communities, or who could be people who support the purpose that I'm trying to achieve, but also who might be people, who might be communities who have that problem which I'm thinking about. From that, you start exploring who could be your customer. And you first develop your customer, and then you look into what is the business model behind it, but also what is the social and ecological cost, and what is the social and ecological benefit behind your idea and the solution that you intend to implement. Then you look at abundance. And abundance, I've been talking about energy, I've been talking about using assets of people out there. Abundance really is the key to scale your idea, to scale your business and scale your solutions, offering it to a most widely spread community as possible. It's not necessary that you always go global. It can also be that you have a specific purpose that you want to achieve for your region, or maybe even for a country or a community only. Then it's looking at processes, which is twofold: the process of developing your idea, but it's also the processes that you need to implement in order to establish a scalable organization. The product is obviously something that needs to fit with the customer problem. So we always talk about a problem solution fit, but also the product needs to fit to the market overall. And the product is the next dimension that's going to be developed. And the nice thing is we also talk about metrics, and metrics at different stages. Start with qualitative metrics in the very early phases around exploration, and then moving into net promoter score, satisfaction, and then growth metrics that you can track. So always starting with a purpose. This spiral talks about we're trying to develop an initiative in this way, always developing a bit of each dimension at one step. It's a sprint-based approach, mostly like 2 to 4 weeks, that teams take these dimensions forward and take activities to develop. The methodologies and toolbox that is sort of coming with Purpose Launchpad is taking state-of-the-art methodologies. The MTP canvas, for example, helps to develop your purpose, your massive transformative purpose, if you will. But first looking at who is the actor in the game, who's the hero, then looking at what is the context in the world and what is the way to get there. The second dimension, on the people side, you look at the team of founders, for example, the team who's going to do the innovation. And then you look into what is their personal goals, but also what is their overall purpose and what goals do they want to achieve as a team? What are the strengths and assets? What are the weaknesses? And you can use the BOSI test with entrepreneurial DNA, for example, to see where the strengths and where the main traits of a team come along, and where there may be weaknesses and where they need specific competency they may get from the outside. The community supporting your purpose is about, like, what is it that communities out there would have as specific attributes, but also, and we know this also from the open Excel approach, community can be a very strong attribute to help building and scaling your business. So again, here it would be about the purpose that you're following and how that relates to the community. What are the values? What's the identity? What defines success? What is the selection transition process? And you can use this type of tool, which has been proven in many cases. Eric Ries, Steve Blank, customer discovery. you first look for the customer. Who could be your customer? You validate whether this segment you're looking at is the right one. And then after you have validated your assumptions, then you move into customer creation, company building, which always goes along as a very handy tool with this value proposition canvas that you see down at this right-hand side page. Also on the customer side, the first steps, the exploration evaluation phase, take you normally to early adopters who really get your idea, even if it's not a perfect product or service yet, but those visionaries, they say, yeah, I see the potential. However, the pragmatist, the early majority and late majority that you need to achieve to really scale your business, that's the tricky part that you need to get to by moving, especially from evaluation to the impact phase. The business model canvas helps with identifying your customers, the channels, the relationships, what the value proposition is, your key activities, your key resources, partners, your cost and your revenues, and extended by the sustainable business model canvas. That would not only be monetary cost and revenues, it would be also eco-social costs and eco-social benefits that you look at. And that is what is described as triple sustainability in terms of profit, people, and planet. Here, of course, you also have all the things around financial cash flow management, including the funding of startups through venture capitalists, business angels. So you always have certain valley of death in terms of cash flow, especially when you're looking at producing bigger goods. With services, this is a bit more relaxed, but nevertheless, the idea is always to first of all create meaningful income before getting too much investment and commitment in the first place. The abundance part can be covered by the Excel canvas, which describes the 11 attributes that an exponentially scalable organization can take. You can see the abundance axis was definitely demand, community, algorithms, leveraged assets, and engagement, and the internal management of that abundance by interfaces, dashboards, experiments, autonomy, and social technologies. And above all, in the Excel exponential model, you have the massive transformative purpose or purpose in itself. The processes here only depicted as the Scrum process for developing the initiative as an agile framework. That's the way of developing your idea. When it comes later to doing production of goods and services, this is really more looking into like Lean Six Sigma or mass transaction processes that you would be looking at. On the product side, the idea is always to follow the lean startup approach. So you build something based on some assumptions first, you measure and you learn what you would need next. The idea is always to say, the original idea is to get something which can help a person move from A to B, and that develops from maybe a skateboard in the end to a car. Now, it's not having the car in mind in the first place. And innovation accounting, this takes a lot about the attribute of experimentation. So you would always want to test your most riskiest assumption, do a proper experiment setup, have some hypotheses that you can falsify or validate, and then document what is it that you're going to do, what is it that you're going to do next. So again, the whole logo, the 3 phases depicted in colors, and the 8 dimensions that Purpose Launchpad follows through. The nice thing is, you can also measure the development of your initiative alongside these 8 dimensions, which is called Purpose Launchpad Assessment. And you would find for each of the phases, exploration, evaluation, and the impact phase, a couple, for each of the 8 dimensions, you will have 3 different sections of questions with 3 different answers. And depending on your answers, you will find where a single dimension is positioned on this graph. What this graph will tell you is that the initiative overall is still in the evaluation phase. It has passed the exploration phase because all the dimensions are outside the yellow circle, but it's still within the light blue one. So all these dimensions are still in evaluation, and that is where you would then look into taking next actions. Normally, you will find in the development of an initiative a starting point like that, which is very close at the inner border. Nothing very clear yet, but it helps to develop step by step over the periods of time, over the different sprints, to really make you being able to launch your product and create the impact that you want to create. As an example, I've been myself mentoring a startup for about a year now. We did 16 sprints, and they started with this type of Purpose Launchpad assessment on radar, and they developed through a couple of sprints until like after sprint number 6, they went into evaluation phase, and their development also showed that in week 12 they were ready to apply for public funding, which they received in September 2022. And since then, we have been further developing the initiative. What you will also see, in some cases, there will be step backs from dimensions. Yeah? It might be that you think about a customer, could be your customer, but at a later stage you find out, oh, that's not really the segment I'm looking for. I need to look at something else, which is a good thing to have, because that is an area where you do not have to invest more resources or more money. So that's the story, and that's the sort of development that you can see. The values that come along with Purpose Launchpad are purpose over problems and solutions, actions over intentions, customer data over intuition, purpose-oriented ecosystems over industry-centric competition, and long-term positive impact over short-term profit. And we have 10 principles going along with these values, and I'm just going to read them through. Inspire people through your purpose rather than your product. Focus on the purpose before the problem, and on the problem before the solution. Adapt your operating style to the context. Act with the right mindset beyond processes and tools, which means mindset is more important than applying processes and tools. Validate what you learn before building. Earn meaningful income before obtaining investment. Unlock abundance through purpose. Connect with and generate abundance instead of focusing on managing scarcity. Maximize profit, positive impact. Maximizing positive impact maximizes benefits, and measure progress through validated positive impact. What is also important to understand, and people who are familiar with the EXO model and the EXO sprint, is you can talk about something which is related to the core business, maybe cash cows even of a company, or something which is disrupting this existing business model and maybe even creating a new business model. So that's why Purpose Launchpad with initiatives is always looking also at creating the environment for initiatives to thrive. And this environment could either be within a current core business, within a current corporation. And that's normally the case when you're innovating and involving an existing business model. But the other side also, it could be that the initiative is disrupting an existing business or even creating a new business model. And then the definite recommendation is to create either a new organization at the edge of the company or even a new company, so that the internal immune system cannot attack this initiative and make it fail just because of the immune reaction. So these two things also mean that Purpose Launchpad can be applied both to startup initiatives, which are completely new things, but it can also be applied to innovation initiatives within an existing corporation and business. So what you can do, Purpose Launchpad is open source. There is a webpage, purposelaunchpad.com. You can download the Purpose Launchpad guide. It's available in version 3.0, July 2022 in English, but also in German and Dutch, and even traditional Chinese and Portuguese and Spanish. Go there, you can scan the QR code here and download your version of the Purpose Launchpad. What you also can do, if you want to make a positive impact, you can sign up for Purpose Alliance. There you will also find the announcement of the 40th Global Purpose Challenge. You can sign up for the newsletter. There's an opportunity also to do a Purpose Launchpad Essentials program, which is certification. People from OpenExo might know, similar to the EXO Foundation certification. Just getting an idea of the basic concepts and small tests at the end. So I'm Oliver Morbach. My own purpose is unlock minds and unleash human talent for massive positive impact. With this, I stop my presentation and open for questions or discussion.
Oliver.
Excellent job. Congratulations. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Oliver. That was really
well presented, Oliver. I like the presentation, very clear, concise, to the point. Brilliant.
Thanks a lot.